Okay guys, rain, sleet, or snow, I am back with another crypto video. This post here is actually a post from Gulf Times, and it reads, QNB launches direct remittance service to Philippines through RippleNet. QNB has launched direct remittance service for money transfers from Qatar to the Philippines, which makes it the first bank in Qatar to launch the service. To provide this service, QNB will connect with China Bank, one of the leading private universal banks in the Philippines, through RippleNet, the financial technology powered by leading enterprise blockchain and crypto solutions provider Ripple. The new service will provide the bank's customers with a convenient remittance experience and a fast cross-border payment money transfer solution. QNB's latest first-to-market solution complements the bank's efforts to improve cross-border payments, upholding its leadership position in Qatar in the sector of money transfer. The service, which mainly targets Philippine nationals in Qatar, will allow them to make fund transfers up to 50,000 PHP to any bank in the Philippines in real time. All transactions above 50,000 sent prior to the cutoff time, which is 3% in Manila time during working days, will be credited on the next working day. Announcing the launch, Adel Al-Malki, General Manager, QNB Group Retail Banking, said, QNB has always been a pioneer of financial technology accelerator in Qatar and the region. Our partnership with Ripple will provide our customers with a frictionless and safe experience to send funds in a way that fits their lifestyle. So again, a lot of people think that a lot of these crypto projects aren't actively still building. You got to give it time. You got to give it time. It's like the early days of the internet. You had a bunch of like BS like .com stocks that came out that weren't about anything, like pets.com and all that stuff, and eventually all that stuff, it got washed away. And once that stuff was out the way, the stuff that stayed, it's now more profitable than ever. So I think people should still pay very close attention to projects like XRP, which is under Ripple, and which is what they're using on RippleNet with their on-demand liquidity service. But next post here, it's a video from Jeff Snyder, who's a guy that I just saw recommended from Brad Kimes, who he was giving his comments on CBDCs, and I wanted to actually play like a clip from this video really quickly.
CBDCs are something else entirely. They're not really a native cryptocurrency anyway, and the real purpose isn't really about elasticity in the global system. It's more about surveillance techniques. But even if the CBDC were ever developed where it would actually be a legitimate currency, which I have my doubts, but if that were ever the case, it still wouldn't obviate the need of an intermediary currency, because that's what a global reserve currency is for. You need a reserve currency in the middle between these various different systems so they can translate and talk to each other.
Okay, next post I want to get into here is from Michael Branch, and it reads, Russia and members of BRICS countries revealed leaders in the 5 major emerging economies are in the midst of creating an international reserve currency. Like, people have to pay close attention. Like, again, just because this stuff isn't on the mainstream news, that doesn't mean stuff is happening. That doesn't mean stuff isn't happening. A lot of stuff is happening right now. A lot of these countries, they are tired of the US dollar, and they're trying to do whatever it takes to get off of it. Like, the article that it's linked to reads, Russian business relations and BRICS countries intensifies China's President Xi Jinping says countries that obsess with a portion of strength and seek their own security at the expense of others will fall. And they're talking about America. These countries are prepared. I'm not going to say prepared, but they are at least scheming. And that doesn't mean that America's going to fall off tomorrow, but that just means that these countries are preparing for a future where they no longer have to rely on America for as much as they currently rely on it for. So the next story I want to get into here it's a post from. It's a post of Brad. It's gonna be a clip of Gary Gensler speaking, and then Brad Garlinghouse's lawyer speaking, and then also a lawyer from the SEC speaking. So I'm gonna play that clip really quickly.
Those in the payment business, central banks and private sector have started to think about payment systems a little bit different. There's some competition, so to speak, from decentralized, bearer forms of value transfer.
Bearer forms of value transfer is him referring to things being bond-like. That's the term right there.
We'll call it currency, but none of these projects have really taken on a full general embodiment of a medium of exchange, unit of account, and store of value. Like incentives here to use a bearer form of value transfer. And that's what a lot of this is. It's a bearer form of value transfer. We are in enforcement action. Yes, it took the definition of what is a security. In that case, I think it might have been the Howey test, but it might have been another one. It's called the Howey test. There's other broad brushes with regard to this as well, as to when something is a note, called the Reeves test that Thurgood Marshall wrote.
Also interesting that the settled order finds, when I say find, there's the commission finding something. It's not a finding that's legally binding. This is the way that these settlements are styled. But the commission found that this lending product was a equity security, an investment contract, but also that it constituted a note under the Reeves test. And they set that out, the commission set that out in the settlement order. This is a way, I guess, of giving some kind of guidance through this settled order of how expansive the commission believes the Reeves test is in relation to lending products, not just equity security, but also, in their view, a debt security. Clearly has shown some appetite under certain circumstances, potentially to give a path for registration. And the question is, at what cost? Is this something that's practical for all companies that have these kinds of lending products? Are others going to follow suit? Because clearly there must be other inquiries going on of similar products, since, again, BlockFi is not the only one out there like this. So that's my perspective on it. I don't know if others have views, because I do think this is an effort. I don't know, Steve, if you can talk any more about it, probably not, but to give some information to the marketplace. And those are my personal views about what the commission's trying to do. But if you can elaborate on that for us, that'd be great.
Steve Buckholz is an SEC attorney.
Yeah, I can't elaborate in any way that you would enjoy. I don't think.
Now, why is that so funny to everybody? Why is that so funny to Brad Garlinghouse's lawyer? Because I believe this is exactly what the fight is about. Whether this thing is a bond, a security, or whether this thing is a note and money.
But I don't disagree, however, with your read of the order, which does, to me, make some significant findings regarding the application of Reeves and the note analysis to lending products, as well as noting that these types of pooled crypto can require registration under the Investment Company Act.
And so that's kind of how we look at it through that lens. Now, there are other pieces of the definition of security, like what's a note, that may come up in the crypto context as well. So that's kind of how we look at it.
We all have experienced dealing with trying to register anything with the SEC. It's not always an easy path. And what I also was significant that of course that the Reeves test has been talked about in the crypto space, but I don't think it had been used in an SEC case until BlockFi.
DeFi money market, which was the smaller one? DeFi money market was the smaller one, but shortly before, also in the last year.
This is the DeFi money market case being shown right here, and where they determined that through the DeFi money market case that M tokens were notes. Again, the SEC setting precedent.
Now we got to go learn Reeves. So I guess that's part of the homework now. Thank you, SEC.
While you're on the topic, one of the key components of that analysis is whether there's an alternative regulatory scheme that provides protection to the participants or investors. And that's a significant component in this space, especially where things are at in terms of, activities to protect investors in this space by other regulators. So I just, not that I know where that's heading or anything, I just flag that as one of the key elements.
No,
And it's a hell of a point to make, because he could be talking about the U.S. Treasury. He could be talking about FinCEN and FSOC and the ability to control something because it is a note. It is money. And that would not fall underneath of the SEC if it's not a bond and a security.
I think that's right. It's kind of a broad concept, right? Whether there's some other regulatory regime, one would query whether you need it if you have sophisticated buyers, sellers who are willingly, participating in a new type of asset market. But I think clearly the SEC sees it as its role to ask that question under that test, and I'm sure we're going to hear that talked about more.
Also, I threw in just now. I also threw in before that a clip of Brad Garlinghouse speaking.
In your favor, XRP is called a security.
In the United States.
You would be out of the United States.
No. I was clarifying your question. The SEC only has jurisdiction in the United States. And in some ways, if you think about how the world is operating right now, it's as if the case has been lost. Other than on Uphold and maybe a few other exceptions, you can't trade XRP in the United States. Coinbase halted trading, others delisted it. So if Ripple loses the case, does anything change? It's basically it's status quo. Ripple is still growing very, very quickly.
Well, there are still people betting that you could win this case.
Well, I think that's the case. I'm betting that.
Next story I want to get into here is a post from Decrypt, and it reads, "Audits are not bulletproof. How Audius was hacked for $6 million in Ethereum tokens. A long overlooked vulnerability led an attacker to steal nearly 18.6 million audio tokens from their Web3 streaming music service. In brief, Audius, a Web3 music platform, was hacked on Saturday for more than $6 million worth of Ethereum-based audio tokens. The attacker traded the tokens for less than 1.1 million of ETH and then funneled the ETH through a transaction mixing service. The centralized streaming service Audius was hacked for more than $6 million over the weekend, which the attacker stole from its governance smart contract. In a post-mortem report released late Sunday, the service detailed the attack and response and noted that an undiscovered bug was exploited despite past security audits. So to me, I'm not a big fan of Audius because I feel like Audius has a lot of potential, but it's just like they're overlooking the most important part. And again, I just wanted to get into that story to just bring up the point that I feel like Audius probably isn't the streaming service of the future, because they're overlooking the biggest feature that they should be including in their platform, which is a way for artists to make money, generate money consistently from their music. Really the only option you have on Audius to make money is to stake Audius. And what's the point of that? That's not actually making people any money. That's not actually working to make artists on that platform money. They literally have a platform for music, and they're not using their coin to pay people for their music. It doesn't make sense. That's the exact reason why I said I would like to at least try to make my own streaming service to see what I could do, because it seems like so many of these companies, they're getting these big opportunities, they're getting millions of dollars pumped into them from followers and people who think that they could win, and they don't even know what they're doing really. Like they're out here overlooking, I'm not gonna knock them too much because they overlooked a vulnerability that even in the audit was overlooked, but at the same time, I've had a gripe with Audius for a while now because of that very reason. But yeah, I'm gonna end the video there. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below.